to 11 AM on Sunday the 14th of December, and I'm eventually getting out of my planned wild camp this week. I was originally going to go Tuesday, then I postponed it to Thursday, and then suddenly remembered I had a dental appointment. So today the weather looks quite nice, and especially tomorrow as well, quite mild temperatures. I'm back in shorts actually, as you may see. I'm heading just over 30 miles north from Bath. I'm actually going to go to Cam Peak. It's near the village of Cam, quite close to Dursley, on the edge of the Cotswold Escarpment. Richard Clements made a suggestion to me recently. He said, you ought to try camping up there. And I thought, oh yeah, I probably know it. I looked it up and suddenly thought, do you know, I can't quite picture that. Maybe when I get there I may remember it, but at the moment I'm quite excited. And I've also just plotted a route on Ride with GPS and just let the track take me wherever it wanted to, the most efficient cycling route. And a lot of that looks quite unfamiliar, skirting through Yate. I'll either like it or I won't. And then get into a co-op in Dursley to stock up with some water, and then it's about a mile from there up onto the Cotswold Way, 700 feet high, and it looks artificial, they say, although it's completely a natural formation. It's turned a bit milder actually after a cold snap and then some wet weather, so I'm back in shorts actually, although I've got my winter sleeping bag tonight and also some warm clothes for the camp. I'm going to be cooking stir-fried sweet and sour chicken with rice. I've got chocolate pudding for dessert, some scrumpy cider, which I absolutely love this time of the year. It really encapsulates all the brown and the golden leaves on the floor, and all the trees turning sort of gingery golden. It just hits a spot, I think, for me anyway. Tomorrow, after I've had breakfast, I head home back to Bath on a slightly different route. I'm going to visit a place I only discovered recently. It has this historic link with the Titanic ship and the famous White Star Line. And while I'm there, I'll tell you a story about the Queen Mary. I don't know if it's true. In fact, experts can't agree whether it's a myth or it's actually fact. So who am I to make a judgment? I'll just pass it on and you can make your own mind up. Before I head off, a quick thank you very much to Richard for suggesting this. Rich also rides Audax and makes films about that as well. So his YouTube channel's worth checking out. I'll put a link to it in the description below. It's Life on Two Wheels. Anyway, next stop, somewhere on the road to Cam Peak. Well, I've just discovered a new bit of roadway. I came along the bicycle track through Mangotsfield Station, and when I got to the bottom of Pucklechurch Hill, I thought, oh, I must be going there, just because that's how I always do. And I got a Garmin off-route alarm and suddenly realised, oh, I should have carried on. I knew there was a cycle track along here, but I only ever once went along it a few hundred yards. Me and my friend sort of tried to see where it went as they were opening it, and it didn't actually go very far, but it's brought me alongside the old railway past this chemical plant, and now I'm just literally following the Garmin up. This is just such a thrill for me because I'm not far from home, and it just forced me out of my normal comfort zone onto something just a little bit different. It's now 2 PM and I've just dropped down that steep hill from Tortworth, and I'm crossing over this lovely bridge across the little River Avon in this lovely wooded valley, and I'm going to get that T-junction and go that way towards my destination. Less than 10 miles to go. Back in the spring I actually stopped and filmed here on a wild camp heading up to the Severn Estuary, and I went that way up past the bluebell fields. I'll put one of those box thingies with the link to that film in the top right hand corner now. I've got less than 10 miles to go. It's starting to get dark about 4:30 these days. I think it'd be less than that today because it's quite overcast. So I sort of want to get there now actually, especially as it's a new and totally unfamiliar location. So I just want to make sure I can get the bike up there, try and get the tent put up before it gets dark. Anyway, I'll see you there. It's now 20 to 4 and I'm approaching my destination. I've just climbed out of Dursley up this very, very narrow and actually quite busy track the town centre is closed off by the police for a remembrance service. I did walk through actually and doffed my cap and just paid my respect for a few minutes. This is the first view of my destination, and no, I don't recognise it. It really does look man-made, doesn't it? If that was round my way near Bath, Radstock Way, I would say that's an old spoil heap, but apparently that is perfectly natural, though it looks man-made. About half a mile further on, now approaching my destination. This is the steep track leading up to, I'm not sure where. I've just come through this gate and now it's off-road. Because I'm going to be walking the first section, I've just memorised the Garmin, so it looks like a bear round to the right and then left. I'm sure once it opens up I'll see the big long straight path up to the summit, but this is all completely new to me. I've reached tonight's camping destination. I'll give you a 360. I've just climbed up that way very steeply out of Dursley. Behind me in the haze, looking over the Severn Estuary, Forest of Dean and beyond. Up northwards. And then back to where I've just come. You may see that monument in the distance. That's the Tyndale monument. Tyndale was the guy who first translated the Bible into English in the 16th century. He got executed for his trouble, by the way. That up there was one heck of a slog off-road. It's 4:45 and I've just got my tent up in the last of the daylight, and it's in about the only relatively flat space I could find. Got my bike leant up against this fence protecting this land here, which looks like it's been eroded quite badly. That's looking back the way I came. I've probably bought the wrong tent out for tonight. Instead of the side tent, I'd have been better off with the front door tent, because that's in quite a slope, to be honest. I've just done a lying down test in there and it's actually okay for sleeping, but getting in and out is not that fantastic. I'll be cooking out here shortly. I really need to get changed, get my bed made and just get in some warmer clothes. It's 12 minutes past 5 now, and you can see it's pretty dark, but up here, looking over towards the south and southwest, it's just like, well, I know it's a cliche, but diamonds scattered over black velvet. Look at all that, all the lights twinkling in the valley. But looking back the way I came, pitch black. Got everything spread out on my basher anyway outside the tent. I'm going to start cooking my tea shortly, get some hot water on for the rice and then start stir frying the chicken and crack open my first can of Scrumpy Jack cider, I think. It's coming up to 6 PM now. I have a nice chat with my wife on the phone. I've boiled my rice, I've left it in a pan over there, just steaming away hopefully. Oh wow, there's a massive big blue laser. Wow, I wonder what that was. Emergency services. Frying my rice now. I'm going to cook this really thoroughly. Well, first of all, I don't want to get food poisoning, and secondly, I like my chicken really golden brown. Although I like steak blood rare, almost with a pulse in it, I really like chicken well cooked, so I'll make sure that's really thoroughly cooked, and then stir in the sweet and sour sauce for another 5 minutes, I think, and then hopefully the rice will be ready. I may just need to heat it up. Oh wow, look at that. I don't know what that is, but I thought at first it was emergency services, but it looks more like a laser. It's 7:15 now, and I've had my meal, pretty much washed it all up and just chilling out with some ciders. Whether I've got room for chocolate pudding or not, I'm not sure. I feel very full up. It's really lovely up here. Just been Facebooking a bit with Richard Clements. It turns out I'm not on the hill that he meant when he suggested this. There's two, and I was a bit confused. This is called Cam Peak, I think, and that is called Coley Peak, or maybe the other way around. And he just said, no, I meant the other one. It's much flatter up there. This is fine, actually, but hey, That's probably going to be another wild camp up there sometime, just to put my mistake right. That's my camera light with my chair. I've got an LED bulb sat behind me. Literally pitch black looking down towards the valley. And then about now, it's starting to really light up. The video's not picking it up that well, but it's hundreds, thousands of lights down there. And then round about now, there's a hill right opposite a few miles away, the other side of the valley, and it slopes down quite gradually. And then now I'm looking right over towards the Severn Estuary. As I sweep round, again, it's not coming out on the camera, but very clearly right in front of me there's just a constant line of movement, and that's the M5. Traffic really hurtling by in both directions at quite a speed. And then that's looking up as it starts to get really dark again. I'm looking at the other peak, the peak that Richard had meant when he suggested this to me. Then back down at the tent. Now my main meal's digested a bit, I'm just boiling up the first of my 2 chocolate puddings. So there's these chocolate puddings in a plastic container with the silver foil on the top. You just puncture it a few times with a knife, and then put it in boiling water to steam for about 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes time I'll start eating that one and put the next one in. They're quite small portions, but they taste very nice, I have to say. For my camping clothes that I changed into when I got here, I've got my trusty head torch. It's a put your hand in front of it and it'll switch it on and then switch off. Got a motion sensor, that's fantastic. I use that cycling in the winter. It's my backup front light as well. Just got a beanie hat which I wear cycling in the winter as well. Just got that from Primark. Got a Peter Storm jacket, a puffer jacket, very warm, from Millets. My second mid layer is, I think it's a North Face fleece. Actually inherited that off somebody. Well, sister gave it to me, her brother died back in the summer unfortunately with COVID. Underneath that I've just got a cotton t-shirt, tracksuit bottoms, I think they may have come from Primark, and some just normal woolen socks, toasty warm. I'm just going to get in my sleeping bag, maybe watch some YouTube videos and just think about the day and that amazing view that I've just been looking down on. I'll chat to you in the morning. Good night. It's 5 to 7 in the morning now, and I've just got up. There's my tent, my bike secured to one of those posts. There's this little area, looks like it's been quite badly eroded, so it's been fenced off to prevent more damage. But wow, look at this sea of mist. It's incredible. Quite busy up here. There's already a walker coming up with their dog. That's the way I came in yesterday. Just look at these banks of mist. That last night was all dark until you got to about there. That's where the valley and the settlements are. And then it's all light down there. Gosh, it's just like a sea of mist. All round here is lit up, and that's looking over the Severn Estuary. You cannot see the M5, but you can hear it already, just a constant roar in the background. Last night there was just a constant fast flow of red and white lights either way. And then it was the second half of the view was just all black again. Just pitch black. You could probably just see 1 or 2 scattered farmhouses. And on that hill there, you would occasionally see the odd couple of flickering lights coming down. There must be a very minor road there. But the town is far below. I don't know how much further below that mist, but it's underneath that mist somewhere. I'm just out here in absolute awe of all this mist below me and knowing actually what's down there from last night. I have to say I only got up for a call of nature, but I'm going to stay up actually. I'm going to start cooking my breakfast. You can see the tent is in this little fold of land, and the side entrance wasn't the greatest tent to have last night. I'd have been much better off with the front entrance, but hey ho. My chair's just turned upside down, so I'll get that up and start trying to cook as I did last night on this, well, flat-ish bit of ground here. 7:20 now. As I've said before, winter camping, everything just seems to take so much longer to get ready. Got the water on for my first cup of coffee. Looks like it's boiling already. Yep. Things are starting to change gradually. The mist is definitely starting to lift. You can see more of the fields and the landscapes down there. Certainly the mist seems to be receding in there. You can probably see all the orange and purpley clouds. The sun's about to rise. Over there's loads of contrails of planes, about half a dozen at least. They're all sort of red and orange. I tried to zoom in and get a photograph, but it just didn't work. And it definitely feels like the mist is rising there. I can see much more detail, possibly because it's getting lighter. You can definitely see the mist is clearing a bit around the bottom of the hill. Start seeing trees stick their heads through. This is the way I've got to go down this morning. I'm starting to get a bit nervous about it. So right at the foot of this hill, there's a minor road, and I'll take that back down to Dursley. But to give you an idea of its steepness last night, once it opened up from that track, I was able to push the laden bike about 10 feet and then ram the brakes on, just get my breath back, and then it's about 10-15 feet at a time. Just before I reached that little ledge there, it became so steep. I actually took the 2 rear panniers off to lighten the bike up. Then I was able to manage it up this last little bit much easier. Then I went back down for the panniers. But I was thinking, oh well, at least it'd be easy going down in the morning. I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be treacherous. There's no way I'm going to be able to ride that. I'll end up in a wheelchair. Even pushing that down this morning, I think it's going to be a bit nervy, to be honest. This is weird looking down. I think that big built up area is Cam. I've been looking at my route on Ride with GPS this morning, trying to work out what that could have been. You may see the sun's about to rise over there. There's a bank of cloud and there's a really bright orange strip, and you can sort of see the rays coming up. All the contrails over there and above. But looking back, where was it? You can see the tower I was talking about last night. I'll see if I can zoom in. That was all caught in the haze last night. Gosh, you can just hear all the early morning traffic. That just sounds like road sweepers or binmen or just delivery lorries, something like that. It just makes you wonder. There's just so much habitation down there and I can't see a thing of it. Oh, I'm so glad I had to get up early. It's actually quite mild out. I've got all my puffer jacket on and fleeces and woolly hat, but I'm not cold whatsoever. Got my seat there, just had my first cup of coffee. I'm putting the water on for a second cup of coffee and then I'll start my breakfast. Bacon, sausages, mushrooms, bread and butter, beans, and I've got some ketchup. The sun's just rising as I'm heating up some water for my second cup of coffee before doing breakfast. Here's my breakfast all laid out, prepared, ready to cook. I've got my meat tray with 3 slices of bacon, 2 sausages, antibacterial wet wipes for any time you touch uncooked meat, frying pan, margarine, 2 slices of bread, spray on oil, sunflower, ketchup, some beans to go in that pot, some mushrooms. It's 9:15 now and I'm completely surrounded by quite thick mist. I can't see more than about 100 metres away. It's just, the contrast is so different from earlier on. I think possibly as the sun rises higher, it'll burn it away. So in the next hour or so, hopefully. Breakfast didn't quite go according to plan. I bought my normal fuel bottle for the MSR, the 325 millilitres, I think it is, 7 fluid ounces, and it was struggling to heat up the sausages and bacon. I just about got them properly cooked, you know, satisfied that they were properly cooked, but I didn't cook the mushrooms. I've just thrown those in the overgrowth, so hopefully wild animals will feed off those, and I ate the beans cold. I've got to keep a little bit of fuel back for doing my washing up. I think the cause is last night those 2 chocolate puddings both took 15 minutes each steaming, and you cannot get the 2 in the same pan. They're just a little bit too big, so that's 2 lots of 15 minutes, which must have really ran the fuel down. I have got a bigger fuel bottle, which, you know, you live and learn. I'll bring that in future for winter camps. That's 750 millilitres, so twice the capacity. But I've been camping nearly 40 years, and each trip I learn things new. I mean, that's the beauty about it. I don't want to know everything. I'm happy learning as I go along. 10 to 11, that's it, packed up, ready to go. So that's a little fold of land I slept in last night. It looks pretty uneven, but actually it wasn't bad at all. As I said, the only thing was getting in and out the tent. I got out that side, but I still stung myself a few times. The rubbish bag is bungeed to the top of the rack. I'll be getting rid of that at the first opportunity. Leave no trace, as always. And I'm heading back down that way. To be honest, I'm a bit nervous about that. It's a few hundred yards of steep descent down to that road, then through Dursley, and I'll talk to you at Wootton-under-Edge. See you there. I'm now in Wootton-under-Edge, and it's been brilliant, this route, coming a completely different way. I really didn't know where I was at times. I'll tell you more about that shortly. Meantime, I'm just going to walk down the main street against the traffic, so I need to go down there about 100 yards, then turn off that way. Today's point of interest. Just walk my bike down this 100 yards or so. I'm going to turn up there. It leads to a car park. That's the main street down there. How I discovered this is you cut a corner off coming in from Bath. My friend Brian told me about this, showed me when we came in once from Bath. We cut that busy corner out, come through the car park, and then there's a cafe down there he used to like, so we're going to go up there now. On my DIY Audax rides, I nearly always come in this direction, and I've always cut this corner off, but there's a pub up there that I want to show you. I'll stop there and talk to you about it. So this road leads up to a car park. There's an electric cinema there, which is great. And this always looks like a really cosy pub. It's called the Star Inn, and it dates from round about circa 1572, a very old pub. You've seen the sign up there, the Star Inn, with a picture of the Titanic on. As I said, I've ridden up here so many times and past that pub, and it always looks quite cosy and inviting, especially in the winter, because it's all like lit up with coloured lights. It's only recently, in fact a couple of weeks ago, I really took in the Titanic pub sign and sort of wondered about that. And the reason for that is I've recently started watching a maritime historian called Sam, young guy I think he's in Kentucky in the United States. His YouTube channel is called Historic Travels. I'll drop a link to that in the description below. But his main interest is the Titanic disaster, but he does all sorts of videos and really good. He cuts through all the myths and recommends documentaries and books you should read, and also steers you away from the ones that are a bit misleading. And I thought I'll take a picture of that and send it to him, but before I did that I thought I'd better sort of give it a bit of context, you know, sort of try and find out if there's any reason for that sign. So I went home and did a quick bit of research, and I found this, and this is from the pub's website. So I'm reading from a piece of paper here. It says the Star Inn at Wootton-under-Edge was the inspiration for the White Star shipping line famous for the Titanic. And it goes on to say, in So I've just walked up there through the car park, and then my road will be running up the back of these houses. Really nice area. You can see there's a heritage museum there, surrounded by all the fantastic scenery. Really is in a sort of almost like a bowl, really, a fantastic landscape. Anyway, I did say I'll mention the Queen Mary. I got this story from Sam on one of his recent videos, and I actually checked it up on the internet, and there was a Daily Telegraph article about it several years ago. I did see the Queen Mary because it's in dry dock at Long Beach. It was a hotel. I think it's not anymore because it needs major renovation. But that was when I was riding down the west coast from San Francisco down to San Diego. I passed through Los Angeles and Long Beach on my ride across America in 2000. The White Star Line had a major competitor, which is the Cunard Line, and they both thrived quite well in the 1920s. And then after the Great Depression, they went to the UK government for a bailout, and the UK government agreed on the condition that the two companies merged, cut costs and made themselves more modern and efficient. And so they did, and in the 1930s they built a brand new 3-funnelled ship, and they hadn't yet decided on its name. And because Cunard was the bigger, more senior of the two partners, they decided on the name. This is where some people dispute this story. Some people claim it's fact, other people describe it as fiction or a myth. So the White Star Line like to name their big liners ending in IC. So you had the Titanic, the Britannic and the Oceanic. Cunard like to end their big liners in IA. You had the Lusitania, the Mauretania and the Aquitania. So when they merged, Cunard were the senior partner, so they wanted to name the ship ending in IA to keep up the tradition. And what they decided was the Queen Victoria. And so a representative of the Cunard Line went to the King for permission, in effect, and said, we'd like to name our new ship after England's greatest ever queen. And the King thought he meant his wife. He said, oh, Queen Mary, I'd actually be delighted to. And so the myth is, was the Cunard representative too embarrassed to put the King right? And it just stuck. I mean, Cunard have always denied it, although you could say, well, they would, wouldn't they? And that's where, well, it's unknown really. If the experts can't agree, I'm not going to offer an opinion, so, you know, make your own mind up. I think it's a great story. I'll just give my Garmin a charge here, then I'm going to be on my way. It's downhill mostly to Kingswood and then along Wickwar and back down towards the cycle track into Bath. So I'm going to end the film here. I will say it's been a fantastic camp. What I really liked about it, because it's a relatively short distance, I just plotted the route from A to B and I let Road with GPS just construct it. And I loved that because if it was in the middle of the summer, it's a long ride, I would check it thoroughly to make sure it wasn't sending me across fields or down dead ends. And I do exactly the opposite in the winter, and it just gives you that sense of adventure. And that happened yesterday. I was just trundling along, so I'll go down there because I normally do. Well, I didn't. It sent me a completely new way up through Yates. And then just, it was lovely just knowing, I know where I'm going eventually, but I just don't know how I'm going to get there. And it is fantastic. It feels like a sense of adventure. And the same today as well. I've just come along some roads. I couldn't tell you where I've been actually until I look at the map. But I went up this no-through road and I thought it was okay. So a mountain biker was coming the other way and he said hello. And it just turned into a track. And then I went across fields and it came out around the back of this quite grand looking house, and then it brought me out on this road, and I'm not even sure where that went from and to. And then it took me onto another footpath, another track as I came into Wootton Edge. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to finish the video here. If you've got this far, thank you very much. As usual, stay safe, look out for each other everybody, and see you next time.